Hello, everybody. It's Dean Miller, the dog counselor, and welcome back. Oh, it just says now live. I may be cutting in late. Sorry, I may have started speaking before we started. It's Dean Miller, the dog counselor, and I am live on the Wolfdriver channel. Here's the Wolfdriver logo. If y'all are familiar with the Wolfdriver by now, I'm sure we have a ton of followers. So a lot of people already know the Wolfdriver channel is based around the work and adventures of a guy named Bill Hellman, the Wolfdriver, who has a team of Huskies and Husky mixed breeds, and I don't know all the breeds of his dogs, to be honest, but he goes out on these adventures in his Wolfdriver cart, and they go out at night, and they go out on trails, and they explore. They do these incredible ghost hunts, and I think they call it werewolf or something, but it's they go out on these hunts for ghosts. They do some incredible stuff. The Wolfdriver channel and the related pages are something you're going to want to explore because there's some really cool stuff going on. I do training and behavior information, and I answer your questions about how to train a dog and how to work with behavioral issues. So I'm the guy to come to for the training stuff. I'm not the guy to come to for the medical questions. I'm not the guy to come to for the yoga. There's a dog yoga channel or yoga show that's really incredible. You should really explore the Wolfdriver stuff. There's some incredible dog related. It's all dog related. It's all related to dog issues, and those of us who love dogs and live with dogs. There's something for everybody who's a dog lover on the Wolfdriver page and the related pages. But I am Dean Miller. I am the dog counselor. I'm based in Nashville, Tennessee. I also travel all over the world, all over the country, and do training anywhere, anytime, any place you want to see me. I'll be glad to come and visit you. I also do Skype sessions and phone sessions where I can train and talk with you about training more in depth about your particular dog. A lot of times people tune into this show and they ask questions that are, one-line questions on this show that really I can't answer. Training questions, some of the more in-depth questions. I can answer some tips and some advice here, but it's really hard to get in depth with you and your dog on a simple half-hour show like this and to just answer the quotes coming in or the questions coming in. I'd like to say hi to Alicia, and then I think I see Mimi on there and Paris. So hello to all of you watching out there. I really enjoy seeing your names pop up and your comments. If you want to say hello, that's great. And if you want to ask any questions about dog behavior and related training issues, that would be great. I'd be happy to help you and happy to work with you on it. Each week I try to pick a couple of topics to focus on so that we don't ramble all over the place, although I have a tendency to ramble and sometimes jump topics. So forgive me for that. But I am going to focus today on a couple of topics, and the first thing I wanted to talk about was dog park etiquette. A lot of people aren't concerned with their dog's etiquette, their politeness, the way they behave at a dog park. I'm sure there are a lot of you out there who visit dog parks, but to many people, they go to the dog park and they think, well, this is a free-for-all. I'm here for my dog to get exercise, to run around. It's his time, her time. It's time for them to really enjoy and be dogs. And to an extent, that's true. But just like a child that goes to a playground, a child that goes to Disney World, yes, that place is built around and for that individual, but there are rules, there are boundaries, there are limitations to what they can do, just like Cesar Millan, the dog whisperer, says, rules, boundaries, and limitations, right? So I believe in that, and dog parks are no different. They need to have some rules or we're going to just have a free-for-all. I often ask people to consider looking at a dog park through their dog's eyes. We always think, hey, let's go to the dog park, it's going to be fun, it's going to be exciting. But to some dogs, that looks like a prison yard, okay? You go to a fenced-in, contained area with a bunch of other dogs, and then you put a dog in there that may be emotionally fragile, scared, For some dogs, it's not a fun experience. For some dogs, it's a terrifying experience. For some dogs, it's a bullying experience. They're prone to bullying. Some dogs are prone to submission. Some dogs are prone to fights. Some other dogs are not prone to fights. Some dogs are just playful and have fun. High energy, low energy. You're going to run into a lot of different types of dogs in a dog park. Dogs really need socialization. So a dog park can be a beautiful, wonderful place for socialization. A dog park can be a place that's a wonderful experience. But you have to approach it carefully. You have to approach it cautiously. I would say, let me see here. I think my volume may be down. Are you guys hearing me? Just want to make sure you're hearing me. Okay, a dog park can be, if somebody can type in and tell me whether you're hearing me clearly or not, that would be great, because my volume was all the way down on my phone. But anyway, a dog park, I forgot where I was, but let me jump back into the topic here. A dog park should be a wonderful experience for everyone, but just like your child going to school, for example. If your child's going to the school for the first day, we explain the rules to them. We explain to them how school works. We explain to them the parameters and how things are, okay? And so the same with a dog. Many people just bring their dog and turn them loose in a dog park. And some dogs just aren't ready for that. So let's talk about, let's just take a clean slate, and I'm going to talk in general terms, because thank you, Charlotte, for telling me you hear me, because I think I was unclear if people were hearing me at first. It looked like the sound was off. A lot of people, I'm going to talk in general terms, because I don't want to speak specifically to a specific dog type, because your dog may be different than other dogs. So I'm going to talk about some general dog park rules, okay? I would say that the first time your dog goes to the dog park, let's go slow and cautiously and steadily and carefully, okay? So that's where we want to start, all right? When we go to the dog park, the first trip, I would say let's watch our dog in the car and see what their driving experience is in the car. Is the dog excited to go to the dog park? Is the dog terrified? Is the dog reserved? Is the dog agitated? Is the dog aggressive? Is the dog mid-level? All of those are indicators as to what you're going to get when you get to the park and the dog exits the car. So that's a place to start. Often people don't start addressing a problem until it's on what I call level 10. Sometimes a dog's problem starts to indicate a little bit. The dog's problem looks like it's, maybe starting, they're giving a dirty look or a scared look, or maybe the dog makes a whine or a noise or a bark, or just their body language tells us something. And oftentimes we ignore that and we just keep moving forward. We ignore the first initial signs, okay? And then we move a little bit forward, a little bit forward, a little bit forward, and we just keep moving forward while the dog is agitating and going from level 2 to 3 to 4 to 6, and then by the time we get in a dog park, for example, we're on level 10. And then we're trying to correct a problem that's on a level 10. Well, I would suggest that we start way, way back at level 1 when we're in the car, okay? Then we're going to walk around to the car, we're going to open the car door, and as we start to open the car door, if that dog is rocketing to get out, if that dog is just pushing to get out that door, you're starting on a level 10. It's kind of like taking a slingshot, and you pull it way back, and then you let it go. So you're letting your dog dive out of the car. It's a place of, you're starting at a place of lack of control, okay? So, isn't it nice to start with some control, some calm? Tell your dog, hey, let's calm it down, let's bring it down. Let the dog get out of the car if they want to run around on the leash, or they're kind of running in a circle, but you're holding the leash and you have some control. It's nice to get the dog to settle. The most likely scenario is you're not going to get your dog to settle all the way down. We're at the dog park. It's exciting. It's fun, okay? But maybe we can go from a level 10 to a level 7 or a level 6, so we're not just exploding, right? Because oftentimes when a dog brings that energy into the park, there are dogs that have already been in that park a while, and they've already established a sort of a parameter and a claiming of the park and they feel comfortable there. And then here comes a new dog. And that dog comes in that park on 10 and boom, diving in. And if you were, let's say, a kid at recess or something, and you're playing with your friends and you guys were having a good time for a while, and then here comes this high energy kid, boom, blowing in and running in the middle of everything, it causes chaos. And for some dogs, that can be overwhelming, and they try to correct it. They try to correct that dog and bring that dog down, tell that dog to settle down. Some dogs go with it and run, and it's all fine, okay? I'm not addressing the dogs that just do easily with this. I'm trying to head off some problems. So I'm making some broad generalizations, but I want you to see if you recognize your dog in any of these problems. So the first thing I do if a dog is inexperienced with going to the dog park and I don't know what they're going to be like, I like to walk around on the outside of the dog park, around the outside of the fence with my dog on a leash, preferably with a little distance to the fence. If things seem to be going smoothly, my dog's settling, things are getting pretty calm, I'll let them approach the fence or maybe sniff through the fence. I don't like them to have too much contact with dogs on the other side of the fence, because if something aggressive happens through the fence, maybe a dog can get bitten through the fence, so I don't want to take that risk. But I like to go up with a little control and a little safety and let the dog watch other dogs interact, watch the social skills, the body language, let the dog sort of acclimate, sort of like taking a kid to a school before they ever go to the school. You might want to take a kid when they're going to school and let them see other kids at the school, see them playing on the playground, acclimate a little bit, so that on their first day they're not too overwhelmed. The same thing with a dog, right? So let's go around the outside of the fence. If you see your dog not reacting aggressively, not reacting badly, or things look pretty smooth and you feel pretty safe, maybe a few dogs have come up to the fence and they've had some exchanges and it's gone very, very well and smoothly, maybe you feel safe. And if you do feel safe and you feel like things are good and you enter the park, you want to very quickly, as quickly as you feel comfortable, get your dog off the leash. It may sound counterintuitive, and there are exceptions to this rule, and I'd have to be there to let you know which the exceptions are. So by all means, and let me make a side note here, and I always say this, don't take my advice without consulting a professional. If you don't think that this advice works for you or whatever, by all means don't try it. If you feel overwhelmed or like that this might be too much, don't just dive in with my advice, okay? Just ask a professional, ask someone else if you disagree with it or you think you might be overwhelmed. But in general, I'm making again broad generalizations, you go into the park, if a dog is held on the leash, surrounded by tons of other dogs who are already off leash, high energy, running up, moving, your dog is restrained. And many times this can cause problems for multiple reasons. When you hold a dog on a leash and other dogs are free, your dog feels vulnerable to attack, okay? Your dog feels held back. So it's kind of like I take a kid to a playground to play and then I hold their arms behind their back so they can't do anything, and then here come a bunch of kids running up. And different people would react differently to that situation. So you have to gauge yourself and ask yourself, what kind of dog do you have and how would they react to that situation? Well, I feel that when a dog is held on a leash, that oftentimes it inhibits what we call their fight or flight instinct. And when a dog is cornered or pushed back or thrust in upon, oftentimes their instinct is to fight to defend themselves, or flight, run away, or move away to feel that they got to a safe zone, okay? A dog moves in, they can move back and feel safer kind of stepping away. But held on a leash, both of those are inhibited. They can't run away if they need to, and they can't fight if they need to. Sometimes they don't do either one, but if you hold them on a leash, they'll feel more of a need to do one of those. Off the leash, they don't feel the need because they just know the option is there. I hope that makes sense what I'm saying. So it can trigger a fight. It can trigger some aggression in certain dogs. Not all dogs, of course, but in certain dogs, it can trigger aggression. It can make them feel defensive. It can make them feel vulnerable to attack. So I would say, as quick as you can get the dog off the leash, then you need to let that dog have freedom to play, freedom to move forward, move back, move around, you know, do their thing, okay? As they do that, as the dog moves around like that, and they start to get, they'll start to move socially more naturally in their social scene. So, for example, you know, if we're never around other human beings, I love dogs, right? We all love dogs. But if you're only around dogs, and you never see another human being, you're going to be socially odd, right? I'm a little socially odd anyway, so it doesn't matter. But if you meet other human beings, and let's say you go to shake their hand, you extend your hand. Well, if you've never shaken people's hands before, that might look threatening. That might look weird. It might look like something's coming at you. But if you know what that is, it just looks like a handshake. Well, dogs have a whole elaborate system of body language, looks, sounds, things they do. When they're in a group in a dog park, they begin to get comfortable with each other's social cues, social movements, body language, what we call play vows, an invitation to play, retreat, come chase me, move forward, I'm dominant, I'm chasing you. All these different things, even the tail movements have meaning to a dog. So when you let your dog socialize normally on a pretty even keel with dogs of their similar energy, their similar intensity, when you I lost my train of thought. Sorry. When you let them interact like that, it's like a child in school. It's like a child on the playground. Their skills and interactions, begin to develop more strongly. Okay? So, that being said, dog parks can be really good for a dog. We just want to be cautious in how we bring them in there and how we remove them, and that the dog has a very pleasant experience. So, in a nutshell, in a breakdown, assess your dog's behavior in the car, bring them to the park, make them be somewhat calm when they get out of the car. Not all the way calm, but they have to be listening to you and keyed into you. Softer approach to the park, walk around outside, let them see through the fence other dogs, get acclimated, gradually bring them in, let them be off leash and be out there to socialize. If you feel safer, sometimes it's good to go to a dog park in off hours. Right after work, 5:30, 6 o'clock, when everybody's at the dog park, right before work, 7:30, 8 in the morning, when people are trying to exercise their dogs right before they go to work, lunch hour. These might be more intimidating hours for some dogs who don't have a lot of dog park experience. For some dogs, it may seem like the best time because they're getting to socialize with their friends. It just depends. You're going to have to gauge your own dog. I always go by the Dr. Phil school of thought. He always says, I'll give you the tools, you raise your child as you see fit. So I'm trying to give you some advice and some tools, but I want you to come up with the rules for your household. I want you to come up with your relationship for your dog. I don't want to be responsible for telling you exactly how to raise your child. I'm just giving you some tips and tools to help guide you if they help. But always consult a professional if you feel unsure, or if you feel that this advice is overwhelming to you or something you might not be able to handle. But back to my topic. Sorry, I get off track sometimes. But you want to go to the dog park on an off hour if you feel like you're not that experienced or your dog's not that experienced, and you can start with a smaller number of dogs in a less crowded dog park. It's going to be easier for you, easier for your dog. You want to try to arrive on calm, relaxed, good terms. You want to try to leave on calm, relaxed, good terms. You don't want to be panicking and pulling your dog out of there, or having a bad experience or fights in the dog park, because some of those experiences can last with a dog. They can imprint on a dog, and they can get their own version of post-traumatic stress syndrome where they may not want to go to the park again if they have a negative experience. But in general, socialization at an early age is good for a dog, and you want them to have these experiences. So that's where we're going to start. We're going to start with the dog park the talk, which we just had. I'm going to check the time here. How does the time go flying by so fast? I thought it was 5 minutes. It's been like 20 minutes. I'm gonna take a little break here and take a little sip of my snow cone or shaved ice. This is my shaved ice I was having earlier. So, very delicious, very bad for dogs. I wouldn't feed my dog my sugary drink, but there I go, I'm having a sugary drink. Let me take this time being, I always try to take a moment during my dog counselor show to tell you when we're on. We're on Sunday nights at 6 on the Wolf Driver page, right here. We're right here. Sorry, I have a reflection, I think, on that screen. Let me look at what I got here. Oh, something's on my screen. We are right here on the Wolf Driver page on Facebook, live streaming, which is a new feature, relatively new feature on Facebook. We are live streaming. There's all kinds of stuff live streaming on the Wolf Driver channel, so you're going to want to check all that out. But myself, the dog counselor, is on Sunday nights at 6 Central Time, Central Standard Time. Sunday nights at 6 and Thursday nights at 8 p.m. So come on by. Even if you're not here for the live portion, we do post and leave this up later, so you'll be able to see this these videos after they air. But it's fun if you come by at the actual time, because you can interact with me and ask questions and send comments. I notice we have Roxanne with us and Mimi and Charlotte. And somebody asked a question here. Let me look. I got to get a little closer to read the question. This is always the awkward part. I have to get right up in the camera to read the questions. One of my dogs is a Jack Russell miniature pinscher that has an attitude and thinks she can take on any big dog. I don't take them to a dog park. You know, if that works for you, then that's great for you. If your dog feels that if you feel your dog needs social interaction, it's always nice to find a dog of your dog's size and energy level that might match. So maybe your dog can find a friend that they can play in a backyard somewhere together or a fenced area. But if you don't feel safe, by all means, it's your child, it's your dog. You decide what's best for your dog and your child. I feel like when you're talking about a dog with attitude like that, that can bring on a whole array of problems at the dog park. And so if a dog goes into that dog park with too much attitude and too much bravado or whatever, that can bring on a fight. And we don't want to bring on a fight if we can help it. The other thing, a couple of things people don't consider, neutering or spaying, particularly neutering for a male dog. Most of the time, in most cases, responsible owners, many owners have their dogs neutered, so we're not creating unwanted litters of puppies. It creates better health prospects for your dog. There are many reasons to have a dog neutered, okay? When we go to the dog park and a dog is not neutered, if most dogs are neutered and you have one dog walk in that is not neutered, they bring with them a smell, an odor, a way of being that is strange and foreign to other dogs. It can be considered threatening to some dogs, because that dog that's intact is creating hormones still. And those hormones are emanating from the dog. And there's a scent going out that all the other dogs know about. So in a sense, it can read to some dogs as, here I am, I'm a stud, smell me, I got hormones, I'm a tough guy. And it can pick fights. It can cause some issues. There are some dogs that feel threatened or unsure about a dog coming in that's not neutered when all the other dogs are neutered. It can cause tension or stress between dogs. A dominant dog that feels like their dominance is being threatened or by an intact dog. These are these can be fight starters. So be cautious and careful of that. It's not always the case. It's not always true, but it's something to consider. Okay? So neutering and that kind of thing is something to consider with your dog. And there was something else. And you said something about bringing your dog to the park. Your dog is little. This is an interesting thing about dogs. Dogs don't really have a sense that I'm a small dog, right? It has more to do with how do they view themselves? How do they believe they are? Am I a tough dog? Am I a tough dog? Am I a strong dog? Am I am I an alpha dog? Am I a non-alpha dog? So it's what the dog believes about themselves. I have seen Chihuahuas take down a German Shepherd and pin them to the ground because the Chihuahua believes he's the leader, and the German Shepherd believes he's the submissive follower. And I've seen the opposite, you know. So it's what the dog believes about themselves. It's kind of a great lesson for life, you know. It doesn't matter how tall, short, small, thin, fat, thin, whatever we are. It matters how we view ourselves. Confident, not confident, ready to go, not ready to go, leader, follower. How you view yourself is more important than your actual size. Let me check the time here real quickly because we got 5 minutes here. I want to check your comments here. Let me see. We got a couple more comments coming in here. Does taking my 4 pups to PetSmart count as socialization? Kind of, not really, kind of, okay? If they do well, then that's great. There's no substitute for off-leash exercise. I always say socializing on a leash is kind of like I'm socializing with you, but somebody's holding my sleeve the whole time. Somebody's holding my neck on my shirt. It's not full socialization. It's not me totally being myself. Often they feel restrained too. There's no substitute for off-leash exercise and socialization, but be cautious that you're in a safe situation when you do that. Let me check these comments here again. I have 5 dogs and they get along, and my nephew brings his pit boxer mix over and they get along well, and only one likes to ride in the car. Okay, well that's interesting, but I don't know where the question lies in there. But that's an interesting comment, and we appreciate all your comments, questions, everything. I love the interaction. I think the interaction is great. Before we run out of time, I always want to mention my book, if I may, A Dog's Way. It's available on Amazon.com or on my website, thedogcounselor.com. I can be reached there. If you find me on thedogcounselor.com, you can email me or contact me. I'm happy to do Skype sessions, phone sessions. I do in-home training sessions and behavior modification. I live in the Nashville, Tennessee area, so if I'm going to train your dog, you need to either be there or I'll fly to you. I'm happy to fly all over the country, all over the world to train if you decide you need me or you want me. We just have to arrange it. We just have to figure it all out. So if you're having issues that can't be answered in a one-line text here. Oh, I had another comment. Let's see what this other comment is. My dog, sometimes when I call her in the park, she ignores me, and also some little dogs she can be aggressive with. Okay, so that all makes sense. A little bit of aggression is oftentimes just the only way they know to correct another dog. I don't know unless I see it. Oftentimes a dog ignores you when you call them because when you call them, there's a downside. You call them, you leave the park. You call them, you put the leash on. You call them, you get in the car. So why should I ever come to you? You're going to close Disneyland. You're going to close the party. So it's a negative. Always call your dog to you a bunch of times. Have a positive, have some love, have some treats, and then let them go back to whatever they were doing, and they'll start to see it as only a positive to come to you. There's lots of advice like this and more in A Dog's Way. It's also subtitled How Dogs Make Us Better People. So if that's available on Amazon.com or on my website, thedogcounselor.com. I always like to show you a picture of my dog Henry because I'm really proud of him. That's him on the back cover. Please check back here on the Wolf Driver channel Thursday nights at 8 o'clock Central Time and Sunday nights at 6 o'clock Central Time. I'm always here to answer your questions and give you information about dogs and how much I love them and how much I love to teach them and train them in behavior. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll have more next time. Please join us every time. Again, I'm Dean Miller, the dog counselor, and you guys have a great rest of your Sunday night. We'll talk soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.